Lady Wilson was in utter shock. How had this happened? She could not believe that Charlie actually had the power to influence the White family to break the engagement with the Wilson family. She felt as though her heart was hurting as she thought about this. Lady Wilson wanted to beg Zeke not to abandon the Wilson family. However, the other party ignored her completely. After announcing that they would be annulling the engagement between Gerald and Wendy, Zeke turned around and left the Wilson family villa with Gerald immediately. Wendy broke down entirely and could not stop crying. She had been following Gerald around for so many years, giving him everything that she had. She had even been pregnant with his child, but still, he chose to abandon her at this time. She could not help but feel hatred and resentment toward her grandmother. Christopher was also feeling very depressed right then. He had acted and dealt with his brother's family according to the old lady's instructions, but it seemed as though he had not obtained any benefits at all. Most importantly, his son had been heavily injured and arrested by the police, and his daughter was abandoned by her fiancé and his family. Christopher felt that he had suffered more losses than gains. He voiced his complaints to the old lady. "Mom, I have always listened to you and acted according to your instructions, but at this point, my family has already lost everything that we have." Lady Wilson calmed herself down and regained her composure before she started to reassure them. "Do not panic. What is the hurry? We can spend some money to bail Harold out of the police's custody. As for Wendy's marriage, there is nothing else that we can do about the White family, but we have nothing to worry about. After all, Wendy is really beautiful, and there will be many young men from rich families who would be lining up to ask for her hand in marriage." Then, Lady Wilson continued speaking. "Don't forget that we still have a contract with Emgrand Group, and we can definitely rely on them at a time like this. The Wilson family will definitely pull through this, and once we win this battle, the Wilson family will not need to depend on anyone else in the future. Why would we need to depend on anyone else if we are extremely wealthy on our own?" Christopher hurriedly asked, "Mom, the person in charge of the contract with the Emgrand Group is that wench, Claire. Now that we have already kicked her out of the Wilson Group, don't you think that we should get someone to take over this project as well as the position of the director of Wilson Group?" Of course! Of course we have to replace her with someone else!" the old lady blurted out immediately. "Don't worry about it. I will let Harold take over the position of the director as soon as he comes out of police custody. As the director of the Wilson Group, he will be fully responsible and in charge of the project and any future collaborations between the Wilson Group and Emgrand Group." Christopher was very happy, and he finally felt a little comforted. Even though his family had suffered a great loss, the old lady was already willing to compensate them for these losses. If Lady Wilson decided to hand this project over to his son, he would have a chance to turn his life around in the future. After that, Lady Wilson continued, "We cannot afford to make any mistakes in our collaboration with Emgrand Group. When the time comes, I want Harold to give his best so that we can secure many more projects and collaborations with Emgrand Group." Christopher replied immediately, "Mom, don't worry. I will make sure that Harold does his best." As soon as they were done talking, the doorbell rang. Not long after, a man dressed in a suit walked into the courtyard. "Excuse me, is Lady Wilson at home?" Lady Wilson quickly greeted the man before she asked, "I am Lady Wilson. May I know who you are?" The other party replied, "Hello, I am the lawyer representing Emgrand Group." As soon as Lady Wilson heard that the other party was from Emgrand Group, she replied enthusiastically, Oh, so you are a lawyer from Emgrand Group? Please come in." "No, thank you," the man replied coldly. "I am just here to give you a letter in person." "A lawyer's letter?" Lady Wilson asked in surprise. "Why are you giving me a lawyer's letter?" The other party replied immediately, "This letter is a letter for the termination of the contract and all the collaborations between Emgrand Group and Wilson Group. After some discussion, Emgrand Group has decided to terminate all projects and collaborations with the Wilson Group. Moreover, Emgrand Group will never work with the Wilson Group again. Please make a trip to Emgrand Group within the next 3 days to complete the termination agreement." What? This was a bolt out of the blue for Lady Wilson and Christopher. They had just been saying that they would have to rely on Emgrand Group to get out of this crisis, and yet now, a representative from Emgrand Group was actually here to terminate the contract and any other collaborations with them. Moreover, they even went as far as to say that they would never work with them again. This was a huge blow to the Wilson Group. The old lady trembled as she asked, "Lawyer, what is going on? Why is this happening? Hasn't all of our collaborations been very successful all this while?" The lawyer replied coldly, "Yes, indeed we have worked and cooperated very well with Miss Clare in the past. However, we heard the news that Miss Clare has already left the Wilson Group. Therefore, we are no longer interested in collaborating or working together with the Wilson Group anymore." Lady Wilson then realized that this was all because of Claire. She was furious. Why? Why did she have this kind of useless granddaughter? The girl was just a piece of trash and had even married a piece of trash. She was the head of the Wilson family, and she had the final say for every decision made by the Wilson Group. They should give her face instead of Claire. Lady Wilson became increasingly angry and burst out, "Isn't the Emgrand Group a huge company with a very good reputation? Aren't you afraid that we will go to court to sue you if you terminate the contract so casually without any reasons or justifications at all? Aren't you afraid that the reputation of the Emgrand Group will suffer terribly because of this?" The lawyer smiled indifferently before replying, "Lady Wilson, did you look through the terms of the contract before this? There is a term stating that we have the right to unilaterally stop any external projects or collaboration that any external party has with Emgrand Group. This is the privilege of being a huge company. Haven't you heard of this?" Upon saying that, the lawyer continued speaking. "I believe that everyone in Orris Hill and even the whole country already knows that Emgrand Group has decided to terminate our contract with the Wilson Group. Everything that we are doing is reasonable and legal in the eyes of the law. I am not trying to scare you, Lady Wilson, but since Emgrand Group has already decided to sever all ties with you, other companies will generally be afraid to collaborate with you in the future. Thus, I wish the Wilson Group good luck." You... Lady Wilson was very shocked at his words. How would the Wilson Group survive now that they had already been blacklisted by Emgrand Group? Was the Wilson Group going to end just like that? If no one was going to work with them, there was only one ending for them: bankruptcy. No way! Lady Wilson was hysterical at this time. The Wilson Group belonged to her. The Wilson Group had to be prosperous so that she could be respected by everyone in Orris Hill. She wanted to enjoy endless glory and wealth. She could not go bankrupt. The Wilson Group must not go bankrupt. As this thought flashed through her mind, the old lady burst into tears before she pleaded, "Lawyer, I am begging you. I am already an old lady, so please help me beg Miss Doris for mercy. The Wilson Group has to depend on Emgrand Group to continue sustaining our operations. You cannot abandon us at a time like this." The lawyer sneered before he replied, "I am sorry, old lady, but the person who made the decision to terminate the contract with the Wilson Group is none other than Miss Doris. Miss Doris also said that she does not wish to work with someone as disrespectful and shameless as you." After he was done speaking, the lawyer threw the termination letter to the ground before he turned around and left immediately. Lady Wilson was so angry that she spat out a big mouthful of blood before falling unconscious to the ground. The news that Emgrand Group had blacklisted the Wilson Group spread around Orris Hill quickly. At this time, everyone in Orris Hill already knew that the Wilson family was finished. News that the old lady had been admitted to the hospital as soon as she heard about the fate of the Wilson Group also spread very quickly. Charlie's father-in-law, Jacob, was not even surprised when he heard the news. He calmly told his daughter and son-in-law, "My mother has always been like that. She has always felt the need to control other people throughout her entire life. It was only a matter of time before she suffered from her own actions. There is no need for us to feel sympathetic at all. We should give her some time to reflect on herself in the hospital. Perhaps she will finally understand what she has done wrong in her life." Charlie was relieved because it was rare for Jacob to finally look aside when it came to matters related to his mother. After heaving a sigh of relief, Claire began to secretly look for a job. When Charlie was done cooking dinner later in the evening, he suddenly heard the sound of the door opening behind him. He turned around and saw Jacob walking in, looking extremely happy. Charlie looked at the expression on Jacob's face and could not help but to ask, "Dad, why are you so happy after taking a stroll? Did something good happen?" "Ha ha ha, I have really good luck today," Jacob replied as he laughed. After taking the pill that you gave me, all the pain that I was feeling vanished completely. Moreover, I am feeling extremely refreshed and energetic right now. Do you want to guess who I met at Antique Street just now? Who? Charlie was very worried. Did his father-in-law get cheated by the counterfeit dealers and stall owners at Antique Street again? Charlie glanced up and down at Jacob before heaving a huge sigh of relief. Fortunately, Jacob had come home empty-handed today. Jacob sipped the cup of tea in his hand before speaking mysteriously. Son-in-law, do you remember the owner of the antique stall that we went to before this? I am talking about Irvin, the swindler at Antique Street. Do you remember him? Yes, I do. What happened? Ha ha, I met that kid when I went to Antique Street today. Charlie was shocked, and he hurriedly asked, Dad, did you buy anything from him again? No, Jacob replied as he waved his hands happily. Irvin knows that I am your father-in-law, and he does not dare to cheat me of my money anymore. He not only gave me a piece of jade pendant today, but he also helped me to sell some medicine. Charlie frowned at this time. He was not worried because the jade pendant that Irvin gave to his old man was probably a fake anyway, but he found it really strange that Irvin would offer to sell medicine for him. What medicine are you talking about? The pills that you made for me to treat my traumatic injuries. I know that it's a pill to relieve the heart, Jacob replied as he slapped his thigh excitedly. My injuries are completely healed. As soon as Irvin heard about my injuries and the effectiveness of the pills, he told me that he had a way to sell the pills for me. I gave 2 of the pills to him, but I did not expect him to really be able to sell the pills. Charlie was dumbfounded. The pill was not a rare or precious item, and he would have allowed the old man to throw it away if he did not finish it. However, Charlie was amazed because Irvin was really good at taking advantage of any loopholes that he could find. He was even able to sell leftover medication. Dad, there is no authentication for these pills. How could you sell it? Jacob simply replied, I don't know about that, but Irvin helped me to sell the pills anyway. Do you want to guess how much I sold it for? Over $1,000? No, you are not even close. Jacob laughed triumphantly. I sold it for $500,000. Pfft! Charlie had been drinking water at this time, and he spurted the water out of his mouth as soon as he heard Jacob's words. He could not believe it. The pills probably cost less than $100, but Irvin had actually managed to sell it for $500,000? Who was this unfortunate person who actually had so much money to be fooled by this profiteer? Charlie could not help but ask Jacob, who did Irvin sell those pills to? I'm not sure. Irvin told me that he had to maintain his professional ethics and keep his clients' information confidential. After he was done speaking, Jacob shook his head before sighing. Irvin gave me the $500,000 and told me that he was doing me this favor to honor you. I tried to give him some commission for his hard work, but he refused to accept any money from me. He is really a very talented salesperson, but it is a pity that he is a swindler. I advised him to try to make a living by getting a decent job. Charlie shook his head. It was completely impossible for Irvin to change his occupation. He had already been a swindler trading in antiques ever since he was young, and it had already become a habit for him. If he had to work a decent job in an office, he would probably give up on life immediately. However, since Irvin had managed to sell the pills at such a high price for Jacob, Charlie was relieved because Jacob could use that sum of money to subsidize their living expenses. After all, they had already been kicked out from the Wilson family, and Claire would probably be unemployed for the time being. Moreover, Jacob would no longer be receiving any dividends from the Wilson Group since they were no longer part of the company. Thus, Jacob could use the money to help them through this transition. No longer depressed because he had made $500,000 out of nowhere, Jacob smiled before he started humming as he walked into his bedroom. Charlie also returned to his bedroom to tell Claire about this matter. Claire jumped out of bed before asking nervously, Charlie, the other party spent so much money on the pills. What if something bad happens after taking the pills? Would you be able to get away with it if the pills did not work for them at all? Don't worry, Claire, Charlie replied as he smiled. Those pills work to treat blood stasis and promote good blood circulation. The medicinal herbs used to make the pills are not expensive or valuable. Even if anyone used it for the wrong purpose, the only side effect is that they would suffer from a nosebleed for about 2 days at most. Anyway, even if there are any side effects, they can only blame themselves for buying medicine without any prescriptions at all. How could they waste money like that? Claire was still not convinced and fretted over it. In that case, why don't you tell me who on earth would be willing to spend $500,000 to buy those 2 pills? Charlie replied casually. Probably someone suffering from cerebral obstruction, or someone with a family member suffering from the cardiovascular or cerebrovascular disease at home. That pill would also be very effective for people suffering from these illnesses. Claire finally felt a little more relieved after listening to Charlie's explanation. After all, these were all terminal illnesses that would cost no less than $500 million if they were to treat their condition in the hospital. After they were done with dinner, Charlie received a phone call from Orville as he was washing the dishes. Even though Orville was a very well-known mobster boss in Orris Hill, he had been rather depressed and had maintained a very low profile ever since meeting Charlie. Charlie did not look up to him at all, but he felt that Orville was actually very sensible. When Stephen was bullied at the hospital, Orville had helped Charlie to solve the problem. Therefore, Charlie promised to give him a second chance to act like a man. However, Charlie did not expect him to actually call him personally. Upon answering the phone, Charlie asked, "Orville, why are you looking for me?" Orville smiled before he replied, "Oh, Mr. Wade, I called because I heard about what you did during the metaphysics competition at the White family mansion. I would like to congratulate you." At this time, Charlie simply spoke coldly. "Get straight to the point and tell me why you are calling me today." Orville hurriedly replied, "Oh, Mr. Wade, you're incredible. You could see right through me." Charlie was getting quite impatient and said, "You are still talking nonsense now?" Thus, Orville quickly explained himself. "Mr. Wade, this is why I'm calling you today. The Song family has always treated me very well for so many years. However, the eldest daughter of the Song family recently ran into some trouble, and I would like to ask you to come over to take a look and see if you could help her." Charlie paused. "The Song family? Are you talking about Warnia?" "Yes," Orville replied immediately. "Miss Warnia is in trouble." The Song family was one of the top families in Orris Hill. However, the Song family could not be compared to the Wade family in terms of their status or prestige. Warnia did not know about Charlie's true identity, and in her eyes, Charlie was just a young man who had some skills and abilities in antique trade, as well as some knowledge on metaphysics. When Charlie had called for the Thunder Order and used thunder and lightning to strike Jack to death at the White family mansion, he had indeed scared many people to death. Therefore, everyone regarded him as the master of metaphysics. However, Charlie hid the truth from Warnia and intentionally told her that everything was just a coincidence. After all, how could an ordinary person like him actually call for thunder and lightning whenever he wanted to? Hence, Warnia was also very confused and thought that Charlie was probably just really lucky. Ever since that day, Warnia disappeared from Charlie's world completely. Charlie initially thought that she had already gone missing. However, he did not expect her to be in trouble. Charlie asked Orville, "What is the matter? What is wrong with Warnia?" Orville quickly replied, "Miss Song has encountered a lot of bad luck and misfortune lately. I think that something might be wrong with her Feng Shui because she has really been very unlucky." After that, Orville continued speaking. "The young lady already tried to seek advice and help from many Feng Shui masters in Orris Hill, but they could not help her at all. So I would like to ask for your help. I want to ask if you can pay her a visit so that you can help to solve this predicament that Miss Song is facing." Charlie replied indifferently, "Can you tell me about some of the problems that she has encountered so that I will be able to make a judgment on this matter?" Orville hurriedly replied, "The young lady has experienced many injuries lately. She has gotten into several small car accidents and even sprained her ankle when she was walking down a hill. Miss Song also burned her hand when she was drinking a cup of coffee, and she was bitten by her own dog yesterday. Apart from that, the Song family has also encountered some problems with some of their business partners, and this has impacted her family business greatly." Orville then continued explaining, "What saddened the young lady the most was when she lost the precious diamond necklace she had been wearing for more than 10 years. That was a relic that her mother gave to her before she passed away. Miss Song cried for a few days after losing that necklace." Charlie chuckled before replying, "It seems as though Warnia is really facing some bad luck because of bad Feng Shui lately." "Exactly," Orville exclaimed before saying, "Mr. Wade, you are a metaphysics master. I believe that you will definitely have a way to resolve this matter, right?" At this time, Charlie asked him, "Orville, why are you so concerned and worried about Warnia? What is your relationship with the Song family?" Orville quickly responded, "Let me tell you the truth, Mr. Wade. Miss Song father was my benefactor. The reason why I was able to stand up and support myself in Oris Hill was that her father helped and supported me. Initially, I really wanted to thank the old man for everything he had done for me. Unfortunately, the old man left this world early. As a result, I have always kept in close contact with Miss Song's grandfather, and I have always helped them to resolve any matter that is inconvenient for them to handle personally." After that, Orville spoke up again. "To put it bluntly, the Song family is my benefactor, and I am doing everything that I can to repay the favor." "Okay," Charlie replied as he nodded. "I can tell that you are very sincere about helping them. Since Warnia and I are also friends, I will do her this favor. Why don't you come and pick me up tomorrow, and we will go to her house to take a look together?" "Okay," Orville replied excitedly. "Thank you, Mr. Wade. I am really very thankful for your kindness." Early the next morning, Orville gave Charlie a phone call. After Charlie went downstairs, Orville, who was sitting in the car, quickly beckoned for Charlie to come over immediately. "Mr. Wade, get in the car." Charlie nodded before walking over to the car quickly. Orville started driving as soon as Charlie got into the car and then headed toward the outskirts of the city. On the way there, Orville suddenly said anxiously, "I heard that a very famous and reputable Feng Shui master will also be coming from Hong Kong today. Mr. Wade, you cannot let him steal your limelight." After that, Orville continued speaking. "Miss Song is the eldest daughter of the Song family, and she will be taking over the Song family business soon. If we manage to save her from this predicament, she will definitely take care of us in the future." Charlie laughed before saying, "Orville, you are not so kind after all. Yesterday you told me that the reason why you were so worried about Warnia was that you wanted to repay her father's kindness. However, now your true colors are finally exposed. It seems as though you just want to get into Warnia good books." Orville quickly replied embarrassedly, "Well, repaying their kindness is just one aspect of it. However, getting closer to them and getting into their good books is a whole different story. I know that you have some skills, and you know what you are doing, Mr. Wade. Therefore, it is also not a bad thing for you to get closer to Miss Song. After all, Miss Song is very young and attractive, and she also has a strong family background. If both of you were to become good friends and join forces in the future, don't you think that it would be a good thing for you?" Charlie smiled before he replied faintly, "If the Feng Shui master that the Song family hired from Hong Kong is really good, there is nothing else that I can do." Orville sighed as soon as he heard Charlie's words. "Well, let's go over and have a look anyway. You are a master of metaphysics with real skills and abilities. Let's see if we can use this opportunity to take this business deal away from that man from Hong Kong." Charlie did not reply because he was thinking about this matter in his heart. If Master Leonard from Hong Kong was really a descendant of the Leonard family, Charlie was certain that he would have some skills and an appropriate level of expertise in Feng Shui. Therefore, he might as well make the trip to the Song family to take a look at what Master Leonard was capable of. Perhaps he could even have some enlightenment to further comprehend and study the contents of the Nine Heavens profound book. Miss Song Villa was located in the most luxurious villa area in the suburbs. Orville finally stopped the car in front of a super luxurious and beautiful villa. At this time, a man who looked to be the Song family's butler came out to see who it was. Orville hurriedly raised his head and asked, "Uncle Oscar, is the eldest young lady home?" The butler nodded indifferently before he asked, "Orville, what are you doing here?" Orville laughed before he replied with a smile on his face. "Uncle Oscar, I invited a Feng Shui master here today to have a look at the young lady. He is truly a very skillful master of metaphysics." The butler glanced at Charlie, who was sitting in the passenger's seat. He obviously did not take the young man seriously and simply replied coldly, "Orville, Master Leonard from Hong Kong is already here to take a look at Miss Song and give her advice on her Feng Shui matters. If there is nothing else, I think you should go home first." Orville quickly replied, "Uncle Oscar, since Mr. Wade is already here, can't you just let him in so that he can just take a look at Miss Song? Besides, Mr. Wade is also friends with Miss Song. Oscar then replied mildly, "There are so many people who always say that they are friends with Miss Song. I am already immune to it. Besides, would anyone you bring here today be better than Master Leonard from Hong Kong? The Song family has spent a lot of money and effort just to bring Master Leonard all the way here. I am not going to let you in so that you can cause any trouble for Master Leonard." Charlie was a little surprised when he heard Oscar's words. He was not surprised because of the identity of the Feng Shui master, but he was surprised because Orville was a well-known mobster boss that everyone was scared of in Orris Hill. However, it seemed as though the Song family's butler was not afraid of him at all. Moreover, Orville even talked to him in such a respectful and polite manner. At this time, Charlie could not help thinking to himself that if news about the way Oscar spoke to Orville traveled across Orris Hill, no one would be afraid of Orville Hong anymore. Even though the butler obviously despised Orville, the latter was not offended at all. On the contrary, he continued speaking to Oscar respectfully with a smile on his face. "Look here, Uncle Oscar. The issues that Miss Song is facing are getting more and more severe. All of us are worried about her. Moreover, we can't be certain that Master Leonard from Hong Kong will definitely be able to resolve the problems that Miss Song is facing." Upon hearing that, Oscar replied coldly, "Do you really think that you will be able to find anyone as capable as Master Leonard? Please leave immediately. You will never be able to pay the Song family back for their losses if you interrupt Master Leonard while he is reading Miss Song's Feng Shui for her." Orville scratched his head anxiously because he did not expect Oscar to stop them from entering the villa. If Oscar refused to let them in, how would Charlie be able to help Warnia? As he thought about it, Orville suddenly blurted out, "Uncle Oscar, have you heard about Jack Yaleman? He was also a Feng Shui master who was extremely arrogant, but when he overstepped his boundaries in Orris Hill, Mr. Wade was the one who called for thunder and lightning to strike him to death." Oscar was dumbfounded after listening to Orville. He then looked at Charlie in awe. He had already heard about what had happened to Jack. Unexpectedly, it was done by the young man in front of him now. Oscar immediately developed a sense of respect for Charlie. Looking at Charlie respectfully, he said, "I have already heard of your skills and ability, and I truly admire you, Mr. Wade." Then, Oscar hesitated for a moment before he said, "If this is the case, please go in and take a look at Miss Song. But, Mr. Wade, this is a first-come, first-serve basis. Therefore, I hope that you will not bother Master Leonard before he is done looking at Miss Song's Feng Shui. After all, Master Leonard came before you. Moreover, I hope that Mr. Wade will not interfere if Master Leonard has already successfully resolved Miss Song's problem." Charlie nodded indifferently before he replied, "No problem." Oscar then used the remote control to open the gate before he told Orville, "You may drive the car in." As Orville was driving into the compound of the villa, he exclaimed excitedly, "Mr. Wade, you were totally awesome just now. Uncle Oscar has never been so polite or given face to anyone aside from the Song family members." Charlie was indifferent as he said, "Just look at how unpromising you are right now. I cannot believe that you actually have to butter up to the Song family's butler. I just can't understand how you became a mobster boss in Orris Hill." Orville smiled before he replied, "Mr. Wade, you do not understand. No matter how great we are, at the end of the day, everyone works for money. How could I be disrespectful toward a big and prestigious family such as the Song family? If I did not take their status into consideration, I would be jeopardizing my future." After that, Orville parked the car and said, "Mr. Wade, let's take a look at what Master Leonard is capable of." Oscar led both of them into the villa. The villa was renovated in an extremely luxurious manner, and it seemed as though the royal family lived here. Upon arriving on the second floor, Oscar led them to a room with the door wide open before he knocked gently on the door. Then, he led them straight into the room. At that moment in the room, a lean, middle-aged man who was wearing a blue shirt was holding a compass as he looked around the room, muttering some words. Warnia was standing with her back facing the door. However, as soon as she heard someone knocking on the door, she turned around before asking, "Uncle Oscar, is there something wrong?" Oscar hurriedly replied, "Miss Song, Orville brought Mr. Wade over here to help you look at your Feng Shui." Warnia turned around, and she was extremely surprised when she saw Charlie. "Charlie, why are you here?" When Charlie looked at Warnia, he realized that she truly did look a lot more haggard as compared to when he had seen her a few days ago. According to the Nine Heavens Profound book, there were shadows on her forehead, and it seemed as though something was really wrong with her fortune at this time. Charlie smiled slightly before he said, "Orville told me that you were in trouble, so he brought me here to have a look at your feng shui." Just then, the middle-aged man who was holding the compass in his hand turned around and said, "Miss Song, I am a master from the Leonard family, and I do not allow anyone else to interfere when I am looking into any feng shui matters. Otherwise, any interference will definitely interfere with your feng shui." Warnia was aware that Charlie knew a little about metaphysics, but somehow feng shui was a completely different field as compared to metaphysics. Even though she knew that Charlie was a master of metaphysics, she felt that Charlie could not compare to Master Leonard when it came to matters involving feng shui and luck. Thus, she quickly said apologetically, "I am sorry, Mr. Wade, but Master Leonard is currently checking out my feng shui for me. If you don't mind, could you please follow Uncle Oscar downstairs and wait for me there? I am sorry, but I will come down and entertain you in a short while." Charlie simply replied, "Miss Song, isn't it better if there is another person here to help you? As your friend, I would be more than happy to help you solve the problem that you are facing. However, if Master Leonard can resolve your problem without my help, I would still be very happy. I will only step in to help you if Master Leonard is unable to solve your problem for you." The middle-aged man snorted as he continued holding the compass in his hand before speaking arrogantly. "I am Master Leonard, who comes from 22 generations of feng shui masters. Do you really think that something as trivial as this will be a challenge for me? You are just a young kid, but you actually dare to call yourself a feng shui master? I am afraid you are nothing but an arrogant liar." Charlie smiled as he looked at the black and red aura lingering around Master Leonard's body with a bloody scent. He then said, "Master Leonard, since you are a feng shui master, why didn't you predict your own fortune today? Don't you know that a bloody disaster will befall you today?" Master Leonard laughed before saying, "What? Are you saying that I will encounter a bloody disaster today? You must be crazy, young man." Charlie shrugged before replying, "I am telling you the truth. There is a gloomy darkness on your forehead. Your eyes are white and swollen, and your pupils are red. This is an obvious sign of your fortune. If you do not pay attention to resolving your own fortune, I am afraid that you will be unable to avoid this bloody disaster." Master Leonard sneered as he said, "Young man, I am a descendant of the Leonard family, so don't you brag and act as though you are a master of feng shui in front of me." Charlie smirked before he replied, "You think I am just bragging? You are not the first feng shui master I have ever met. To be honest, I think that you are nothing but a sham." Master Leonard cursed out loud at this time. "What? You dare to call me a sham? You are ridiculous." Charlie smiled before speaking again. "Have you heard of a man called Jack Yaleman? Do you know what happened to him?" "I do not know anything about anyone called Jack Yaleman, and I am not interested to know anything about him." Master Leonard shot back as he glared at Charlie with a cold expression on his face. Then he looked at Warnia before he said, "Miss Song, if you will allow it, I would like to proceed to help you reverse your fortune immediately. I want this young man to witness and see for himself the greatness of my family's feng shui mastery." Warnia nodded slightly, and she glanced at Charlie before saying, "Master Leonard, please do it as soon as possible." Without further delay, Master Leonard took out a few pieces of talisman paper before he gestured at the void and yelled out, "All those who are fighting the battle arrayed in front of them, listen to the law now." He then threw the few pieces of talisman paper into the air and looked around him as he observed the direction and speed of the talisman paper that was scattered on the ground. After that, he pointed at a green potted plant that was placed in front of the window before he said, "Miss Song, I have found the problem. This window is facing the east, and your good fortune should be flowing in from the east. However, since you've placed this potted plant in front of the window, it was blocking all of your good fortune from coming in." When Warnia heard that Master Leonard had already discovered the source of all her problems, she was very excited and quickly exclaimed, "Master Leonard, since you have already identified the source of all my problems, will my fortune improve after I remove that potted plant?" "Unfortunately, no. Master Leonard replied with a serious expression on his face. You should understand that a Feng Shui formation is an invisible formation. Even if you remove the green potted plant, you will not be able to remove the influence that it has left on the Feng Shui formation. Warnia hurriedly asked, In that case, what should I do? Master Leonard replied, You should place an exorcism transporter refined by a Feng Shui master by the window instead of that potted plant. That way, you will be able to completely eradicate all of your problems, and at that time, your good fortune will continue to flow in from the east. Warnia then asked, What is an exorcism transporter? Master Leonard quickly took an egg-sized stone out from his pocket before he said earnestly, Miss Song, this is a chalcedony stone that has been eroded and weathered for millions of years. It is a magical product used for exorcising and transporting evil. If you place this chalcedony stone in the spot where you used to place the green potted plant, all the evil aura in this place will dissipate immediately. Then your fortune will keep flowing in from the east. Warnia was filled with joy as she listened to Master Leonard's explanation, after which she quickly asked, Master Leonard, how much is this chalcedony stone? I will buy it from you. Master Leonard's eyes lit up as soon as he heard that Warnia would buy the stone from him. He quickly replied with a serious expression on his face. Miss Song, this chalcedony stone is worth at least 80 million Hong Kong dollars, but since we have an affinity to meet, I will sell it to you for just $10 million. Warnia nodded before replying, Money is not a problem as long as it will be able to help me resolve the problems that I am facing. Master Leonard replied without any hesitation, Miss Song, don't worry. If you put this chalcedony stone in front of your window today, your fortune will definitely change completely tomorrow. Warnia heaved a huge sigh of relief before taking out her checkbook and writing a check for $10 million in cash. After that, she handed it over to Master Leonard immediately. Master Leonard, I will buy the chalcedony stone from you. Please help me to do the necessary preparations now. Warnia wanted to resolve the problem she was facing as soon as possible. She had really been tortured by her bad luck lately. Her bad luck had started ever since she celebrated her 24th birthday last month. She had gotten into various car accidents, and all of the 5 cars in her house had been damaged to varying degrees. Not long after that, she had sprained her ankle and could still feel pain until today. Not only that, but just a few days ago, Warnia had lost the one and only precious heirloom that her mother had left to her. Warnia really cherished that diamond necklace. She had been wearing that diamond necklace for more than 10 years, which was almost half of her lifetime. She was offering a reward of several $1 million if anyone returned the diamond necklace to her, but alas, there had been no news about it at all. She had been crying for many nights over this matter. Moreover, one of the business partners that the Song family had been working with for many years had suddenly ended their partnership with the Song family yesterday. Both parties had initially undergone a negotiation process and were just about to sign the partnership contract. However, the other party had suddenly decided to work with someone else instead. They did not just refuse to sign the new partnership contract with the Song family, but they also revealed that they would be terminating all of their existing agreements because they were going to work with another partner instead. Warnia felt as though she had lost everything when it was already placed in front of her. This was a huge loss to the Song family. After being plagued by bad luck and misfortune continuously, Warnia found it unbearable and wanted to get rid of her bad luck as soon as possible so that she would not suffer any more losses. Hence, spending $10 million to solve her feng shui issue and put an end to all of her problems was, in fact, very cost-effective for her. Master Leonard was trembling in excitement when he received the check of $10 million in his hand. Master Leonard quickly put the check away before walking over to the window and removing the green potted plant. Then, he placed the chalcedony stone by the window as he continued chanting his mantras. Charlie scoffed as he witnessed this scene. He realized that Master Leonard did not know what he was doing at all. Moreover, he had even caused a catastrophe by making the situation worse than it originally was. From the Nine Heavens Profound book, Charlie had already studied a strange scenario that was similar to what he was witnessing in Warnia room. He could feel a terrifying feng shui formation in this room, and he realized that the feng shui in this room was a dragon encapsulation formation. As the name suggested, even if a dragon was living under this Feng Shui formation, it would also be trapped. If so, how could an ordinary person escape this? Therefore, no matter how good a person's fortune was, those who lived in a dragon encapsulation formation would inevitably lose their good fortune and be plagued with continuous bad luck and misfortune. As Warnia was living in this room, it was only natural for all of her good fortune to be trapped, and this was also the reason why she was suffering from continuous bad luck. Fortunately, this dragon encapsulation formation was just beginning to take shape and had not been perfected yet. If they allowed the Feng Shui formation to continue taking shape, it would not only change Warnia's fortune, but it would also change her fate. When that happened, Warnia would not only suffer because of bad luck, but she would also possibly lose her life. What was even more of a coincidence was the fact that the only loophole in this trapped dragon formation was none other than the green potted plant. Green plants symbolized wood, which represented life and vitality. The green plant was the only thing preventing the dragon encapsulation formation from perfecting its shape. This was also the only reason why Warnia still had a little bit of luck. However, Master Leonard had taken the green potted plant away and replaced it with his broken stone instead. Stones symbolized gold, which represented the unbreakable. After removing the potted plant and replacing it with the chalcedony stone, the dragon encapsulation formation was almost completed. At this time, Master Leonard finally finished chanting his spell, and he spoke to Warnia in a deep voice. "Miss Song, you can rest assured that I have already restored the Feng Shui in your room for you." Warnia quickly asked, "Will my good fortune be restored immediately? Does that mean that I will not be suffering from any more bad luck?" "Yes." Master Leonard nodded before he said, "I have done the same procedure for some very famous people in Hong Kong and Macau, and I have restored their wealth greatly. Thus, you don't have to worry about anything, Miss Song." Warnia asked again, "Master Leonard, in that case, do you have any way of helping me to find the diamond necklace that my mother gave to me? I am willing to pay you another $10 million if you help me get it back." Master Leonard scratched his head before replying, "Miss Song, I am only good at Feng Shui mastery. Finding lost items is not my area of expertise." Warnia could only nod in disappointment. "It's okay, Master Leonard. I am already extremely grateful to you for reversing my bad luck for me." As soon as she was done speaking, her cell phone suddenly rang. A woman spoke to Warnia over the phone anxiously. "Miss Song, something terrible has happened." Warnia quickly asked, "What happened?" The other party replied, "The shipment that we exported over to the United States has just arrived at the port. Upon inspection, however, the company said that our products are not up to their standards, and they want to return the products according to the contract. They are also asking for 3 times the original price of the product as compensation." Warnia's eyes widened in horror as she panicked and blurted out, "They want to return the 5,000 tons of goods that we shipped out to them? I will lose tens of millions of dollars in transportation and custom declaration fees alone. Moreover, if they are demanding 3 times the cost of the goods as compensation, that would cost me another several $100 million.